All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on the invisible systems that guide our choices. Now, this isn't about persuasion in the way you might think. We're talking about a precise psychological architecture, one that's designed to engineer compliance before you even realize a decision is being made. So let's start breaking it down.
Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about winning an argument with logic. It's not about passion, it's a neurological lockpick. It's a strategy that targets not your intellect, but your exhaustion. And that idea right there is the key to everything we're about to get into.
So here's the crucial thing to get. This isn't random. Heuristic exploitation is a system. You see, our brains are hardwired for efficiency. They create mental shortcuts. You might call them heuristics, gut feelings, experience, just to save energy. But those very same shortcuts can be reverse engineered and used against us to get us to do things before we even know we've made a choice. And what's so wild is that this all comes down to a simple biological truth. To the ancient parts of our brain, deep analytical thinking is metabolically expensive. I mean, it literally burns calories. So an influencer who moves fast, who gives you a pre-packaged answer, your brain doesn't accept it because it's the best option, it accepts it because it's the easiest option. They're weaponizing your body's fundamental drive to just conserve energy. All right, so this leads us right into our first big mechanism of control, what we can call the fluency trap. Let's really deconstruct how our brain's natural need for speed and simplicity becomes the very thing used to deceive us. You know this feeling, right? You meet someone, they speak with total certainty, and they lay out a clean, simple plan for your very messy, complex problem. And what happens? You feel this wave of relief. It's like your brain just exhales. And in that moment of comfort, you might hand over your trust, your loyalty, maybe even your resources without a single second thought. Well, that feeling has a name: induced cognitive fluency. And you should think of it as a security breach in your judgment. When information is presented smoothly, cleanly, confidently, our brain makes a mistake. It misinterprets that ease of processing as a sign of truth, a sign of safety, but it's not. It's just a sign of good packaging. And just like that, the drawbridge to your critical thinking is lowered. And you know, the long-term result of relying on this feeling is really dangerous. It's a condition we could call strategic atrophy. Your critical thinking muscles, they start to weaken. The more you trust your gut to save a little time, the more you are literally outsourcing your decision-making. You stop being a strategic player and you just become a reactive node in someone else's network, executing their shortcuts. Okay, so let's get tactical, because this isn't just some vague psychological idea. It's an operational process. We can actually map it out. Think of it as a deliberate 4-stage kill chain, designed to move a person from critical thinking to automated compliance. And here's the roadmap. First, the entropy strike creates chaos. Second, the trigger injection offers a simple way out of that chaos. Third, automated commitment makes you defend the choice you just made. And finally, the dependency anchor makes sure the influencer becomes your permanent source of shortcuts. Let's break down each one. So stage 1, the process kicks off by manufacturing chaos. An influencer might just overwhelm you with choices, or they'll talk just a little too fast, or maybe create some kind of artificial urgency. The goal here is not clarity. The goal is to induce cognitive burnout. They're literally just waiting for your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that does the heavy lifting and analysis, to get exhausted and just give up. And this is the moment control shifts. The second your brain is tired and desperate for relief, the influencer injects the trigger, the easy answer, the shortcut. And to your brain, that sudden certainty feels like physical relief. All that agonizing tension of trying to figure things out is gone, replaced by the comfort of a clear path forward. A path that they, of course, provided. And these triggers are surgically precise. They might use the liking heuristic, making you feel like you're dealing with a trusted friend by finding some common ground or giving you a compliment. Or the lean on the authority heuristic, using a bunch of complex jargon or name dropping to make themselves sound like an unquestionable expert. Either way, both paths lead to the exact same place, bypassing your critical thought. Now, this is where the trap really closes, and you become your own jailer. Once you've made that quick decision based on their shortcut, your brain works overtime to avoid the pain of admitting you might have been wrong. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. You start actively defending your choice, ignoring red flags, all because you need to feel consistent.
You're basically trying to prove to yourself that your fast choice was a good choice. And this, right here, this is the end game. The influencer establishes what we call a dependency anchor. They become your go-to source for answers, your permanent shortcut. You don't even try to think for yourself around them anymore. You just look to them to tell you what's what. They've successfully shifted from being an advisor to being the operating system for your reality. So why is this whole architecture so incredibly effective? I mean, even on smart analytical people. Well, the answer isn't just in psychology. It's deep in our biology. Let's look at the hardware this whole system is designed to exploit. So, building on the work of researchers like Daniel Kahneman, we know our brain kind of runs on two systems. You've got System 2, which is slow, logical, and deliberate, but it costs a ton of energy. Then you have System 1, which is fast, intuitive, and really low energy. Given the choice, our brain will always default to the low energy option. And manipulators exploit this by creating situations where using that logical System 2 just feels like too much work. So let's just ask the question directly. How does an influencer turn this fundamental biological drive for energy conservation into a weapon for control? How do they actually hijack this system? Well, they weaponize it through something called the heuristic of fluency. This is the core cognitive bug in our programming. We have this deep-seated, almost primitive belief that if something is easy to understand, it must be correct. But in a power dynamic, simple is often just a shortcut that leads directly to your own exploitation. People will literally walk into a trap if the path is well lit and easy to follow. But here's the good news. Awareness collapses the system. Just understanding this architecture is the first step toward dismantling it. So let's move to our final section and lay out a practical, tactical protocol for reclaiming your own cognitive sovereignty. Your defense is a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you have to intentionally introduce friction into the decision. Second, you pivot away from any manufactured urgency. And third, you refuse the simplified story and you demand the underlying data. Let's break down each tactic. The first countermeasure is called metacognitive friction. When a decision feels way too easy, too obvious, maybe too good to be true, you have to stop and intentionally make it harder on yourself. Ask the simple question, where are the gaps in this logic? That one act of questioning raises the energy cost of the decision, and it forces your logical brain to get back online. Next, to neutralize that entropy strike we talked about, you use the anchor pivot. When you feel that sense of urgency, that pressure to decide right now, you have to decouple the decision from their timeline. Ask the critical question, who really benefits if I make this decision in the next 10 seconds? You'll quickly realize the urgency isn't real. It's a tactic designed to stop you from thinking. And finally, you demand the raw data. This is how you can collapse the entire narrative. If someone says, oh, research shows, or everyone is doing it, you can't accept that simplified version. Ask them for the specific study, ask for the names, ask for the numbers. By demanding they show the math, you force them to prove their work, and very often, that whole expert narrative just falls apart. So the ultimate takeaway here is this. True power isn't about being the fastest or most efficient person in the room. It's about being the most deliberate. See, the person who can make you think fast is the person who can make you act wrong. Understanding this architecture of control is your first step toward genuine authority. Stop letting other people pave an easy path for you. Go out and build your own terrain.